Greetings. I'm here to show you another submarine a bit sooner than last time. Now we've seen some of the more advanced submarines available on Europa, but what of the truly depraved? What of the truly deprived? What of the truly destitute? Well, some of them have to resort to building these monstrosities. A Scav Hagfish. This submarine is heavily inspired, as you can probably guess by the soundtrack if you're familiar with it, by Forever Winter. It even is carrying big containers of fresh water in its cargo, which coincidentally is also a fishing net, well, more of a fishing trap really. The overall shape of it sort of resembles a camel, and that isn't exactly something I'm trying to hide. The sort of originally idea I had for a trawler submarine was a pretty poorly made conversion of a camel I called an anglerfish. It probably won't get a video of its own because frankly it's not very good. But the way this submarine works is it has these spaces which it can catch creatures in, and they're drawn to it because I've set certain pieces of the ship to be a higher priority for monsters to attack than others. In universe, that's described by the laws, which are, the light and such. This is designed to look like a scavenging submarine, and I think aesthetically it's pretty one of my better ones. I'm particularly fond of these little grabby pincers at the front. That's inspired by the auger mechs in the game. Hope the music isn't too extra. The auger mechs in the game having these weird little mantis mouths, so you can imagine this thing can scrape along, maybe even actually scoop up dead creatures and wrecks and pick them apart with these machines and push them in for processing. So you may be wondering, what is the point of actually capturing creatures in those spaces? Well, the point is that they have bugzappers, which are souped up discharge coils, which you can turn on and off, and in fact I recommend you turn them off when you're perhaps going in to retrieve things, because otherwise you'll accidentally send crew in to die. Will zap the shit out of whatever you capture in these things, and catching them themselves in there also limits their maneuverability severely. You may have noticed something else about this submarine, and that is that it's only got one gun, and it's a shitty little coil gun with a terrible flicking periscope and a slightly reduced fire rate. This submarine is not designed to be strong, because apparently my submarines are overpowered, if you can believe that. This is my answer to that, because I've made a submarine that's very weak when you first start with it. Its engines are terrible, its maneuverability is terrible, its diving is alright, and its main weapons are just trying to lure creatures into these two hatches, trapping them inside with a button at the helm, and zapping the ever-loving hell out of them. Maybe you can finish them off with harpoon guns if that doesn't work. One thing a submarine has going for it is it does have full manufacturing. I find that more interesting than having to stop at stations, because that's when everyone gets bored and starts alt-tabbing in my experience. Another feature of the submarine, and I'm not sure if I'd add this to many others because it's actually quite strong, these little limbs actually do stop the submarine. If it is sinking rapidly and these touch the ground before the body, it will actually stop and suspend the submarine, keeping it from exploding on impact with the ocean floor, which is what usually happens. It also has a little diving sonar dish on this thing. I would love it if it would be possible to retract it in and out, but unfortunately the editor doesn't give me the abilities. Maybe something in I think it's called EK mods or enhanced armaments or whatever. One of those mods has tons and tons of stuff you can do in the editor, and I'm tearing into it for a little project that's not this, but something else. So why don't we have a little on foot walk around now that we've had a good look at it from the far away. It's really sodding dark when the power goes out, as you can probably see, but the lighting is very moody. That's directly inspired by the game. So yes, as you start out, you only have this one coil gun with a very bad light. It's still honestly pretty good at picking up targets, and a coil gun's a coil gun, all reliable. Yeah, one ammo storage, and very dim lighting, very moody lighting. The submarine also obviously looks like complete shit, and that's because it's a dinky little scavenger submarine. If you are picking this submarine, odds are good that your players are some of the biggest low-lives and unwanted members of Europa imaginable. And that's emphasized with as much of the submarine as I can get away with. So, here's the helm. I've always liked a raised helm. You can get up through the chair. In universe, you could use that ladder. I did make it a ladder bots could climb, but they got stuck, so I stopped. And, yeah, so from here, you can... Sonar probe button. There it is. I had the editing, the layers fixed up. I have to fix that before I do anything else. And that can move the sonar probe further down, so it's easier for scanning for caves. If you wanted to, I've seen mods that make Barotrauma have a map that is completely empty, devoid of stations to stay at. And you can sort of make stations as you go. This would be a cool submarine flavor-wise to do that. Just some desolation has struck in the earth. So we'll go back to the top. So these buttons toggle each door. Toggle the bug zapper. So the red lights signify which door is open and which one's closed. Very useful. I'm pretty sure red means open. It could mean closed though. I don't remember. You'll find out when you use the submarine. If the bug zapper's turned on, it'll shock anything inside. And it will not just shock it a little, it'll shock it a lot. Let me demonstrate. Actually, we should probably not travel forwards while this is happening. It can be a little bit finicky to try and catch things, but one of the ways I made it easier was I hid little docking ports that aren't connected to anything down here, and they show the gap. So this is the front of the submarine up here. This is the tip of the jaw down here. So that'll help give you an idea of if monsters are actually inside them or not, as whether or not they're popping up about here. Same with the backpack. That and that. Those two there. So it'll show where it is. I wish you could project a more accurate silhouette of the submarine on these, but you can't, sadly. Maybe someone will make a mod. Oh good, the electrical's already catching on fire because we pushed it too hard. Yes, this is a very, very shitty submarine. Not sure if it's on fire, but it's at least all burned out. Yep. It breaks quickly if you overstress it. And what's overstressing it? Running much at all. It's yeah. The engine even hates just idling like this. That's why its lighting is the way it is. Little fuel like reactor thingy there. That's in my mind. That little slot is where the fuel rods go into. I'm fond of these little floor lights too. I want to utilize these in more submarines. I like the way they look. Very moody. So down here is the deconstructors. This submarine is designed for scavenging first and foremost, so it has two. And ample storage. It also has depth charge tubes, which mostly are for decoys, but they'll work for anything. Spawn assistant. Guess so. Renata is going to help me by demonstrating the potency of the bugzappers. So you catch things in these, you shock the ever-loving hell out of them, then you can easily go in and retrieve them with no worries. The outside of the bugzapper is heavily reinforced. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather, trying not to cough. But you want to communicate with your captain when you're going out there, because it is quite bad if you are caught in a bugzapper. You can, honestly, discharge coils, then they're meant to stun, they're not meant to kill. So it took quite a bit of tweaking to get them to be this mean. Oh, that's open backpack, not bugzapper. Whoops. There we go. Get jerked in random directions. It'll actually take a really, really long time for a human to die from this if the zapping doesn't kill them. As you can see, it's oxygen low that's killing Renata right now, not actually the burns or the nausea or anything. So, you know, you've got time to save people if they step in accidentally without thinking. Can't check on Renata now because it won't let you possess a character that's unconscious. There we go, they're being zapped. Good. That puts a bit of strain on the electrical grid, as I'm sure you can imagine. But it's just more resources that are being consumed, more, you know, more of our desperate resources. It's a bit bare on the inside in terms of details, to be honest. I didn't want to make it too detailed, because the crusty textures and such already make it a bit difficult to tell what's what, I think. Things kind of merge into the background easily with these rough textures. You'll notice that whenever you're on a wreck and searching for a small loose object, it's just, if you're not holding Alt to highlight things, it's just very unpleasant. I also tried blue ballasts, because I was getting funny with the lighting today, very dim. With any submarine, if you find you don't like the lighting, you can tweak it with a screwdriver. I may have gone overboard with the darkness, but I like the darkness. I think it's very moody and suits the design of the submarine. Sort of very harsh, but a little bit dark lighting. The submarine also, I find, looks bigger than it is, like looks smaller than it is. It has to do with it having larger rooms, though. So, we've seen the armory and everything. Up here is the, here's the bugzappers supercapacitor. It actually takes quite a while to recharge, and uses quite a lot of electricity to actually functionally kill shit. And that's because the discharge coils are firing at about 10 zaps per burst, and a burst every second. So that'll quickly drain this and break it, but you know, you can upgrade discharge coils, and there's never really a reason to upgrade supercapacitors in the base game, I find. So the worse the submarine is, the more useful the upgrades are. Right? There's a doctor's office. Rather gross. I'm always fond of these curtains and being able to sit behind them. I find that it kind of adds a degree of atmo, mood. I do this sometimes where I have a medical locker linked up to a fab to construct with, and then one that's just supplies to distribute. One of the people I play with sometimes gets really irate when people just run in and steal all their medicine. So that's, in a way, I made that to placate my friends. But I'm sure you'll get use out of it too. Nice little research bay in here too. And a little bed you can sleep in that's in some kind of containment tube. Maybe that's for containing people infected with alien viruses. And yeah, I like to add facilities to my submarines because I find it's just a bit on the tedious side sitting on stations all the time. You're probably all sick of hearing me say that. Yeah. So in terms of how, if you want a little more emphasis on how reviled the crew of a standard Hagfish are. Our docking port isn't even designed to connect to out of the stations. What it's designed for is this big long claw actually extends from the middle of the submarine all the way up to a docking port and clips onto it to leach electricity from the station. That's the flavor for it. So if you want to travel back and forth between a station, you need to put on a suit. It's not as much of an inconvenience as you might think. The metal containers you can grab, if you grab that full of stuff, take it on board, do your fav, do whatever you got to do with it. You know, if you're buying stuff from a store, you can fill it up. Stealing everything you nailed down, that would be, stealing everything not nailed down would be very on point for the submarine. Throw it in a container, throw it through, it'll fall straight down. Containers always fall straight down unless they bounce off something. Straight down into the ship. So you can stop at station, steal everything and run away, which is an old favourite among veteran Barotrauma players. So yeah, the one thing I will say about it is I did design the submarine to be terrible when you first start, but it does have pretty good turret coverage once you buy them all. At the start, it's weak, but the more you play, the more you invest in the old girl, the stronger she'll get. And I think that is, you know, very on point for the progression of Forever Winter, and also just for this game. At least at the time I was playing Forever Winter, it's gotten a bit strange lately. Not sure if I still like the game. Can't make up my mind. But yeah, that is the Hagfish. I think that's everything to discuss. Oh yeah, the cargo is also back here on the backpack because it's meant to look like a Scavs backpack from the game. Okay. Thank you for listening. I have another one coming up soon, and those of you who have bothered to check my workshop page probably know what it is, because it's a bit of a crazy project of mine, and it's also themed after Forever Winter. So look forward to that. This is a little bit of a test showing off this, to be honest, because if the music in the background is obnoxious to listen to, I won't do it, but I did have it in mind to use the same kind of music for showcasing that, because a ballad for hammer and metal gets old after a while, trust me. Someone has spent a lot of time in the editor. I'm supposed to be wrapping up, so I will see you in the next video, and you have yourself a lovely, submersive and breathable day.